let's get to some draft talk. And let's start with the quarterbacks, because it was after Kenny Pickett went to the Steelers with the 20th overall selection.
Yeah.
None were picked until round 3. There was a 53-pick drought between Pickett and the next quarterback, and the next quarterback wasn't Malik Willis. It was Desmond Ridder at 74 to the Atlanta Falcons in round 3. And then it was 12 picks later, Malik Willis, and 8 selections after that, Matt Corral. I still don't know why or how that happened. And Chris, let's start here.
Right.
Let's start with the Steelers, because I think there's a really compelling story in Football Morning in America from Peter King. He always has compelling stories, but this one specifically, Kenny Pickett spent 5 years showing up at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And the doors for the pit and the Steelers practice facilities are literally 12 feet apart. And for 5 years, Pickett walked into the door on the right, looking at the door on the left, and envisioning one day walking through there. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of the draft. He was at the mercy of where he was picked. He didn't get to choose to go through that door, even if the people who own that side of the building wanted him. It had to fall the right way. And there's 3 good stories at least this year of that happening in round 1, with Aiden Hutchinson staying in Detroit with the Lions, Ike Ekwonu staying in Charlotte with the Panthers, and Kenny Pickett, even though he's not a native of Pittsburgh, being able to stay where he wanted to. That part of it's great. But right. I can't help but wonder if the Steelers didn't pick him at 20, how long he would have lasted. Because there was plenty of buzz about other teams maybe getting him, just like there was other buzz about Malik Willis. And everybody knew the Steelers were thinking quarterback. Anybody that wanted Pickett, all they had to do was get to 19, and they had Pickett, and they didn't. I just can't help but wonder if the Steelers don't put his name on the card. Does he slide too?
It's a good question. It really is. I doubt it, just because I think he's what we saw. I think he was viewed as the safest, most ready one. All the things we talked about, I think, kind of proved itself a little bit as far as how the draft fell out and how the quarterbacks are concerned. So I would bet, Mike, I don't know, but I would still think even if he didn't go there, by just the way and the things we've heard over the weekend and how it all fell, that he would have still been the first off the board if the Pittsburgh didn't take him. I just don't know when it would have been. But at the same time, yeah, we saw, I think, some of the things we talked about through the process. First off, we got a lot of teams that got a lot of good quarterbacks. There's some flaws with these guys. None of them are perfect. Kenny Pickett was the one that was ready, the safest. He's got talent. He's a good athlete. It wasn't superstar talent, but I think by far he checked the most boxes out of everybody. And I think that's probably why I say it's a good question as far as how far he would have fallen. But, I have a hard time thinking, Mike, really in my heart of hearts, a team like Atlanta at 43 in the second round, I have a hard time thinking that if he's sitting there on the board that he's not a guy they end up taking or at some point there. I can envision that. Or even some other teams maybe that are looking down the road a little bit. But I don't think he sits on the board as long as some of these other guys.
Well, it's a
good discussion.
Alternate reality of what happened because look, you had Malik Willis and Matt Corral ahead of Kenny Pickett,
right?
And it's not like Kenny Pickett stood out from the crowd. It's not like we all went into the draft saying Kenny Pickett's the number 1 quarterback.
No, not at all.
And then there's the rest of the guys. So that's what just makes me wonder if there wasn't that one team that number 1 liked the idea of keeping Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, knew him well from seeing him around for 5 years. And Pickett told Peter King how he spent a lot of time talking to Mike Tomlin over the years. It's a great opportunity to get to know the guy that may be drafting you. And also, as Peter said on Friday from Philadelphia when he visited with us for a while, the Steelers are still trying to live down not taking Dan Marino when he was on the tee in 1983. And the thought process was, well, we still have Terry Bradshaw, and it would be awkward to have Dan Marino and Terry Bradshaw. Little do they know, Terry Bradshaw, who had elbow surgery just a few weeks earlier under the fake name Thomas Brady, which is just one of the all-time great
really is amazing.
underrated rated stories in NFL lore. The original TB12 goes into the hospital under the name Thomas Brady just to get elbow surgery, and he played one more game and he was done.
Yeah, right.
So they blew that one. So here's another Pitt quarterback when they just happened to be in their first post-Ben Roethlisberger year. The last time a franchise quarterback left, they went 20 years without using a first-rounder on a quarterback. This time, it all lines up, and it all works out perfectly. And it's either going to work or it's not, but this one just makes so much sense, and I can't help but wonder whether or not the Steelers maybe skewed that evaluation a little bit. Maybe
I hear that. Even with Kevin Colbert being a genius, leaving that at the door, him wanting to give a gift to the organization. All those things have crossed my mind. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I hear you.
No. But
yeah.
I want to know. I want to have that little twist. If he didn't go to the Steelers at 20, and I want to know if he slides out of round 2 like the others did.
Yeah, I think he could slide in. I don't think he would have slid out of round 2. I think he would have been a legitimate round 2 pick at some point. I don't know that. And again, we've seen this in history. When guys don't go in round 1, round 2, usually the teams go, wait, we got other values and other things we got to address. And wait, the league doesn't value these guys as that special anyway, so let's put them on the back burner and address some of our other needs. That's really what we got down to. And then a bunch of teams, like we said, who had their quarterback seats filled. There's only a few teams that need it. It's a flawed group altogether. That's where, as far as the Steelers and Pickett are concerned, Mike, I just think it's a marriage that's perfect there because the Steelers are a little bit like that team we've talked about where the Saints almost. I think that's why we thought maybe he could go there, right? They're kind of ready. There's still a lot of things in place for you to just go, it's not a rebuild. It's still got a lot of tools to be one of the better defenses in football. We talk about the receivers and the running back. So I think that probably adds to the value as well, let alone knowing the guy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.